Teen Star class, you've begun learning about the female fertility cycle. You've learned that our bodies give us signs that we can learn to observe, track, and understand to get to know our bodies better and take better care of them. In this video, my mom Lisa and I are going to continue this conversation with you, talk a little bit more about fertility signs. We are both trained Teen Star teachers, and we're excited that through this video, we can be a part of your Teen Star class as well. Before we get into the science, I thought we could take a minute to talk a little bit about fertility charting in general. I remember when I was learning to chart my fertility signs, I was really nervous and even a little hesitant to do it in the first place. As my mom, you really helped me through that. What advice would you give those watching who might be feeling something similar to the way I felt?
Feeling nervous about charting is normal. Right off the bat, I think it's fair to say that nervousness is an uncomfortable feeling. In some way, our nerves actually prepare our bodies to react safely. If it's a dangerous thing, we'll move away from it. If it's a good thing, we'll stay with it and learn how to do it well. The key to helping with uneasiness is understanding what's actually going on and why you're feeling nervous in the first place. Our minds are specially designed to be able to react to important things. By practicing charting, the benefit to you will be you'll get to know yourself better and take better care of yourself.
A lot of my Teen Star students have noticed that when people talk about fertility charting, they think that we're talking about just keeping track of the days that a woman has her period. Why do you think this is, and do you think that learning about our periods is enough?
No, learning about our periods is only part of our reproductive cycle. For too many people, and really for the past few generations, our entire reproductive cycle has been basically explained in terms of menstruation, the monthly loss of blood. Menstruation is an easy sign to observe and to explain, but it's just one phase of our entire reproductive cycle. Learning about the other phases and signs will help you take better care of yourself.
In this video, we're going to focus on the fertility sign called cervical mucus. And I know, even mentioning this term can make us feel really uncomfortable. But cervical mucus is a healthy part of our bodies, and it plays many important roles. I think why it makes us so uncomfortable, honestly, I think there's three main reasons. The first reason is that cervical mucus is private. The second reason is that the word mucus in our culture, it's awkward. And the third reason, though, I think is the most important reason. The third reason is that most women have never heard about cervical mucus. They've never been taught about it, and so then when they begin to notice it and the changes each month, they wonder what it is or they even worry about it. Since Teen Star is the first time many of our students have ever heard about cervical mucus, how do you think we can make it easier for them?
I think it'll be a little easier once we learn how and why our bodies produce it. Let's review the female fertility cycle and see where and how cervical mucus fits in the bigger picture.
A woman's internal reproductive system includes the uterus with its opening called the cervix, the two fallopian tubes, and the two ovaries. The changes women experience during our cycles are caused by hormones. It's helpful to think of hormones as messengers that tell our bodies what to do next. Two of these powerful hormones are estrogen and progesterone. These ovarian hormones are the messengers that trigger the fertility signs that women can learn to observe.
Now that we've reviewed some basic anatomy, let's take a look at the role cervical mucus plays in our cycles. As you know, the female fertility cycle has many phases. We are going to take a look at each one in order. As you may have learned in your Teen Star class, these phases are menstruation, the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. Menstrual bleeding marks the beginning of each cycle. We call this a period. It's when your uterine lining or endometrium sheds. The endometrium thickens over the course of the woman's cycle in case a baby is conceived, because it's where the embryo implants to grow and be nourished. If a baby wasn't conceived, the endometrium sheds so that a fresh one can build over the next cycle.
Remember we said that one of the important fertility signs is cervical mucus? Well, right after menstruation, the type of mucus being produced forms a plug that blocks the cervix. Because of this plug, many women feel dry at the opening of the vagina. Other women may notice a pattern of mucus that looks and feels the same day after day. This is an infertile phase of a woman's cycle. Just before ovulation, the part of the brain called the pituitary gland produces a hormone called follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH. As the name suggests, this hormone stimulates follicles. These are the follicles in a woman's ovaries that contain immature eggs. As they're stimulated, these eggs begin to ripen. This ripening produces the important hormone estrogen. As estrogen levels rise, the cervix begins to produce cervical mucus with progressively greater fertile characteristics. One type of mucus dissolves that thick plug to allow sperm to enter the uterus. Another type filters out any damaged sperm. Yet another type of mucus forms long microscopic channels that help the sperm travel up to the egg. This type of mucus also nourishes the sperm, allowing the sperm to live for up to 5 days in a woman's reproductive system. This means that even though an egg only lives for 12 to 24 hours, sperm from pre-ovulatory intercourse that have been kept alive for several days can fertilize the egg once it's released. As we mentioned, you can learn to identify and track this mucus. It tends to be sticky at first, and the closer to ovulation you get, the wetter the fluid will become. It becomes increasingly slippery, and the mucus with the most fertile characteristics often resembles a raw egg white. The last day a woman observes cervical mucus that is slippery, stretchy, clear, or cloudy clear is what we call her peak day. Peak day helps you determine when you ovulated.
Ovulation refers to the time when the egg, also called the ovum, is released from one of the ripened follicles. The hormone that triggers ovulation is called luteinizing hormone, or LH. The egg is then picked up by the delicate finger-like projections at the end of the fallopian tube, which sweep it gently into the tube and towards the uterus. Some signs of ovulation may include discomfort or even a sharp pain in the pelvic area. Some women also have some spotting or light bleeding when they ovulate. These are all effects of the hormone estrogen. You might notice some other effects of estrogen. Maybe you'll have more energy, and you might even feel more optimistic, creative, outgoing, and social. This is often the time when some women feel the strongest sexual desires. Although for women, sexual desire is not just affected by hormones, but also by life circumstances and relationships. After ovulation, a woman will no longer feel wet or slippery at the opening of the vagina. By the end of 3 days after her peak day, her fertility for that cycle will be over.
After ovulation, the follicle that previously contained the egg that was released is transformed into something called the corpus luteum. This corpus luteum produces an important hormone called progesterone. Progesterone plays 3 important roles at this point in a woman's cycle. First, progesterone causes cervical mucus to become thick and sticky. Many women have a feeling of dryness at this time, indicating that ovulation has passed. Second, progesterone triggers a woman's body's temperature to rise, usually about half a degree higher than it was before ovulation. This is why basal body temperature is another fertility sign women can learn to track to help them pinpoint ovulation. Third, progesterone also enriches the endometrium. Remember we talked about this earlier? This building up of the uterine wall prepares it to receive and nourish an embryo in case the egg was fertilized by the man's sperm and a new human life was created. However, if the egg wasn't fertilized, menstruation will follow about 2 weeks later, and the next cycle will begin. This is a good time to eat healthy foods and stay hydrated.
So what do your students typically ask when they're first learning how to chart?
The biggest question my students have is, will it be difficult to learn how to chart? It'll take you a couple months to learn how to chart because it'll take you some time to get to know your unique patterns, and you'll need to see them as they progress month by month. At the end of the day, Charting is universal. Women of one culture can teach women of another culture how to observe these signs because our bodies work the same way, no matter where we come from. The good news for you is that you're in Teen Star, and so your teacher is there to help you as you begin to learn how to chart and continue to get to know how your body works. Another question that a lot of students ask is, will everyone's chart look the same? While it is true that all of our bodies follow the same basic pattern, no two charts are the same. Everyone's body is unique.
Molly, why do you think it's important to learn how to chart?
No matter where we come from, our cultural heritage, our income level, our background, all women's bodies were designed to nurture new life. Your fertility signs will recur throughout your fertile years. Once you get to know your fertile signs, they become your own, and you'll understand what they mean and what they're telling you. Your patterns may change, but once you get to know your signs and understand their messages, you'll know what your body's telling you. When we record our fertility signs, we're writing an important part of our life story. Recording our fertility signs helps us remember that our bodies matter and that we can play an active role in helping take care of them. Because your fertility signs also indicate your times of fertility and infertility, knowing this information will help you avoid and achieve pregnancy one day. We're so happy that you're a part of the Teen Star program, and we hope that it will help you take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit.